I'm Chris Plowe, the director of the Duke Global Health Institute, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the commencement ceremony honoring our 2018 Masters of Science in Global Health graduates. Today we're honoring 42 extraordinary young women and men who have reached the culmination of a 2-year journey, one that we hope has been filled with at least as much inspiration as perspiration. I'd like to welcome the families of the graduates. Many have come from a long way to commemorate this special occasion, and I understand we have families who've traveled from China, Ethiopia, and Kenya, among others, to be here with us. But however far you've come, thank you for being here, because today is a celebration of you as well. You've been there throughout this journey to provide your graduate with support, encouragement, perhaps even a gentle nudge in the right direction from time to time. And if your graduate forgot to say thank you for those well-intentioned questions and reminders, let me say it now. Thank you for all that you've done to help your graduates reach his or her goals. I'd also like to recognize the many members of the faculty who are here today. Graduates, your professors and mentors have been with you every step of this journey. They've given you tough challenges and helped you develop the skills and tools to meet them. They've been there through struggles and successes, and they couldn't be prouder of the scholars you've become. So thank you to our faculty for preparing an extraordinary group of graduates. And of course, very special thanks to the education staff who have worked tirelessly to support our students every day. Laura Bai, Sarah Martin, Lisa McKean, Steve Bergman, Elisa Halferty. You are appreciated more than you can imagine, and we couldn't do this without you. Thank you. And so graduates, now it comes to you. Your families and professors have stood proudly beside you, but it's you who did all the hard work. You took the courses, performed the field work, defended your theses. These are no small feats, and because you did these things, we can now call you graduates of Duke University. Congratulations on everything you have accomplished. But today, we are not just celebrating your achievement in earning your degree. We also look forward with eager anticipation to the bright futures that lie ahead for each of you. You brought the values of global health with you, the commitment to social justice and health equity, and we hope that we have given you the knowledge and tools that you will find useful along the way. At the same time, we recognize that there is no way in the course of 2 years that we could teach you everything that you'll need to know about our world and the health of its citizens. And so I hope we have given you something more. I hope we have taught you how to continue your education, not just as you launch your next adventure, but throughout your lives. I hope we have given you the empathy to identify with the conditions of others you meet and the passion to pursue the change you want to see in the world. I hope we have given you the insight to ask good questions and the humility to know that the best path to answers may come from the very people you seek to help. I hope we've shown you that seeking out and nurturing diversity in your community is not just a goal, but an essential ingredient of effective leadership. So you now have a foundation of knowledge and technical skills to make a difference in the lives of the communities that you work with. But more than that, you have your humanity. You've shown yourselves to be curious, passionate, and committed to social justice. As you move on to your next adventures, I hope you'll stay true to these values and nurture them in others. And if you do, I promise the world will feel the impact of your work. But enough advice from me. We have a full program this morning, including reflections from your professors and one of your peers on the journey that you've all shared. Please also join us for a reception in the atrium immediately after the ceremony. We'll also be taking the class photo just afterwards at that time. And speaking of photos, all the pictures we're taking today will be available online to download. So now to share some reflections on this extraordinary class, please join me in welcoming the director of our Master of Science in Global Health program, Melissa Watt.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome to all of you, our amazing students. It's wonderful just to see you all come into this room and sit down together, and we are so proud of you. Family, friends, our faculty and staff, it is so nice to have you here to celebrate this important occasion in the lives of our graduating students. Students, today is a day of celebration. It is a day to celebrate all of the hard work that got you to this point. Those toils of Dr. Turner's statistics class, the anxiety of preparing for field work, dealing with all of the things that happened during field work that you never could have prepared for, and of course, all those many long days and long nights preparing for your thesis and your thesis defense. Today is also a day of appreciation. It is a day to honor the people who helped you get to this point, who have supported you over the past 2 years, and have supported you many years before that. So to the family and friends who are gathered here, I echo Chris's thanks to you all for helping to raise such extraordinary individuals and to nurture them along the way. We never do this alone, and I think it's very clear from this cohort that they have a lot of support in their lives. Today is also a day of reflection, because today marks the end of one chapter of your lives and the beginning of a next. As I've reflected on your cohort, there have been 2 images that have come to mind. And the first is of this beautiful green field, hot and humid, of course, as North Carolina tends to be in the summer, in Bahama, which is spelled Bahama, but is pronounced Bahama because we're here in North Carolina, which is where I'm from. And it was on this day that you all began to bond as a cohort. So I don't know if you all remember this 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, the game that we played to kind of help you all begin to work together and get to know each other. It was kind of like a flipped classroom with a fish. And the second image is of a post-thesis celebration at the John Hope Franklin Center. And walking into that room and feeling the success that you had accomplished, the growth that you had over the past 2 years, and really importantly, the respect and support that you had for each other. It was really palpable. And it's been such an honor to watch you all progress. For me, for all of the education team, on behalf of Nathan as well, to watch you progress over these past 2 years. From this group of strangers throwing around a fish on a field to individuals and a collective body that has achieved so much in the course of a relatively short period of time. In our education program over the last year, we've been spending a lot of time reflecting on the values that bring us into global health, that bring you as students into global health, that bring us as faculty into global health and as staff into the global health field. And from your original applications to our conversations and reflections over the last 2 years, it is clear to me that your values brought you into the program. They propelled you through this program during times of struggle and times that you might have been wondering what type of course you had set yourself on. And they lay the foundation for this next phase of your life as change makers in global health. You are driven by a belief in the dignity of all human beings. You are driven by a commitment to social justice. You are driven by a belief that holistic health is an essential building block of prosperous societies. You are driven by a desire to make this world a better place. In these challenging and uncertain times, there is an adage I oftentimes come back to, and that is, be the change that you want to be in the world. And to the Masters of Science in Global Health class of 2018, you are the change that I want to see in this world. I have observed your steadfast commitment to global health, your hard work and perseverance, and I have observed your approach to building a diverse community where we find our humanity and our connections with one another. As you go out into this next phase of your life, This community that you have formed will be one of your greatest assets. Look around you. Make a commitment to nurture that community, to build that community, and find your strength and purpose in that community. Together, be the change you want to see in the world. The field of global health needs you. There is no shortage of challenges to address, from the spread of chronic diseases brought on by globalization, to the next emerging epidemic, to the impact of climate change and human conflict, to the social impact of stigmatizing illnesses. As you poise to address these challenges in your future, let your values guide you. But be sure as well that you're equipped with evidence, with the power of science. Take the skills of global health research that you have learned in this program to bring a critical perspective to global health practice and advocacy. Constantly ask yourself, what is the evidence for what works? How do I make a case for the facts? And how do I create and disseminate knowledge in my own work? We need to bring evidence to bear on global health solutions. We need to make evidence-based cases for how global health impacts our national and economic security and our broader geopolitical stability. We need to all be going out in the world armed with facts and figures, as well as skills of communication and persuasion, deep curiosity and intolerance for the status quo, creativity and innovation, and a desire to make the world a better place. We have high hopes for you as global health leaders and as global citizens. We look forward to engaging you as alumni, as colleagues, and as friends. Go forth and be the change you want to see in this world. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the student speaker, Shashika Bandara, known to us at DGHI as Shash. I can still remember reading Shash's application 2 years ago, and we were so struck by his commitment and experience working at the intersection of health and human rights in his home of Sri Lanka. We all had no doubt that Shash would contribute to our program as an intellectual leader. What we didn't know was that Shash would be a social anchor of our program and of our community. He is consistently recognized for his warmth and his humor and his ability to bring people together. Shash, please come forward to address your cohort.
Thank you, Dr. Watt. I do want to start by saying it's really, really, really heartwarming for me to be nominated by my cohort as the speaker. And I want to say that you all look great today, not tonight, tonight too. To be honest, though, I first thought this was a joke. And so I asked Laura. For those who do not know Laura, Laura is our amazing student advisor. And Laura, in all seriousness, told me, Shash, this is not a joke. So here I am, and hi, everyone. I have stories to tell about these 2 years. And so these 2 years, I feel it was a journey for all of us, literally to different parts of the world, but also a personal journey. So today I want to speak about the things we carry from this journey. Personally, I have 3 takeaways, and I hope that my classmates can relate and resonate with this. My first takeaway I want to speak on is inspiration. Let me tell you about mine. In 2016, when I got accepted to Duke University, I actually wasn't sure if I was going to attend. I was working in Sri Lanka in the post-conflict zone. I was working in disaster recovery. At the time, there was severe flooding, and people needed us. And part of my job was to speak to the families who were affected by this disaster. And in doing so, I learned how much that they have lost in the war, their lives of their families, and also their livelihoods. And in the same week, I learned that the organization that I was working for is leaving Sri Lanka, along with many other organizations, because Sri Lanka had become a middle-income country. The organization and I knew that these families needed us in health and in development, in many other areas. But the system was so, and the organizations had no option. So I was angry, I was frustrated at the system, so I wanted to change the system, if you all know me. And to change the system, I had to know the system. So in order to learn more about the system and the field of global health, it played a huge role in inspiring me to attend Duke Global Health Institute. So that was my inspiration. And I'm sure that all of you have stories about the spark that wanted you to study global health. So I'd like to think that as our first collective step to be inspired, to learn, to affect change. So our first step is here, and my second takeaway is about support. When I think of support, I want to say that we all met in Durham after being inspired. It was warm. The setting at Duke was competitive. And let's say the program was somewhat demanding. And we all looked for support to ground ourselves. And we all had our own unique systems. Some of us looked for comfort food. Personally, I learned to make this amazing fish curry. So my comfort food was fish curry. But food aside, we had our teachers, parents, families, friends, some of whom are here today, some of whom I'm sure are with us in spirit. We had them to support us. But more importantly, we had each other to lean on. And I saw this happening. We shared knowledge. We took time to listen to each other. And I even heard of meditating sessions. Values that I feel are less so in competitive settings. So to me, this support we had for each other is perhaps the best attribute that any group can have. And in global health, it's about community. And we have built a strong community within us. So my hope is that we will carry this community forward. So this brings to my third takeaway, which is perhaps the most important takeaway for me, is empathy for others and for the other. When I say the other, I mean those that we fear, those that we do not understand. It could be skin color, it could be sexual orientation, it could be an ethnic group. For me personally, growing up in Sri Lanka, the other was quite clearly defined. In a time where we feared of suicide bombing and other attacks, we were conditioned to fear the other, the minority group in our country, part of whom had taken up arms against the government. At 18, I thought I was lucky to be not labeled as another, perhaps misguidedly so, especially at military checkpoints. At 19, I left the country for studies, and the first airport I landed, I was put through special screening. Since then, I have been through many special screenings, and I'm an expert at it now. But I knew how it felt to be considered the other, to be feared of. To be fair, though, my parents always said that I looked suspicious, even just walking around. So, you know, so there's that. But to be fair, my personal experiences aside, I have to say that I saw all of us in these 2 years broaden our understanding of the other. I heard it enough stories about field work where I had to adapt to challenging circumstances. I saw it in our classrooms. We had to learn where the other was coming from, you know, especially in group work. So this is the most important factor because now, as graduates, I truly hope that we can carry this empathy forward, especially at a time where divisive politics run deeply into our lives. And actually, if you stop and think about it for a moment, the more empathy you have, the more ability you have to understand diverse cultures and lives. And the more you understand, the more inspiration you get, and the more avenues of support open up for us in our own communities. So perhaps this is the beginning of a positive social cycle. And I hope that all of us can commit to that positive social cycle. So those are my 3 takeaways, but I feel there's one more challenge ahead of us, which is the future, and the fear of the future, obviously. So to face this challenge, I want to share this anonymous quote I came across, and that has given me perspective. The quote reads, "Better a song than a nest. The freedom to do what is good and beautiful is more precious than security." Now, parents, don't get scared. I'm not saying that security in life is not important. All I'm saying is that when you're challenged and feeling less secure, look to what is good and beautiful that you strive for. Look to the inspiration within you, the support around you, and please remember that your empathy matters that much more. And right now, as graduates, I feel we are officially entering into the business of making the world a better place. So for that business, I wish you all the inspiration, support, and empathy, and I wish you all the best with the bottom of my heart. And thank you for listening to my stories.